And welcome back. Well, once again, we have on two good friends of ours, Steve Concialdi and Lynette Round, both from the Orange County Fire Authority. You brought along a lot of stuff today. We're going to talk about water safety. And I told the folks when we started the show today that you sent us along a video about a cat rescue. We also have some photos about a couple fires. One did not end well, and one did not end well as far as the contents go, but a little girl really did a wonderful job. So welcome to both of you.
Thank you, Ken.
Nice to have you here today. We have so much stuff. What would you like to start off with?
Let's start on water safety.
Okay. We're getting up to that time of the year, although really water safety in Southern California is year-round, let's face it. Most people use the pools year-round here. And you brought along some different devices, some to use, some not to use,
yes,
especially when it comes to children. So talk about these different things here.
Yeah, we usually focus obviously on the children because it is the #1 cause of childhood death under the age of 5. But lately we've seen a lot of adults drowning. And what we want the adults to know is that you always need to swim with a buddy.
Right.
Whether you're an adult or a child, you need somebody there with you. You could have some type of medical incident. You could have, you could pass out in the water and then you're alone and then you drown. We want somebody there with you at all times. Now, as it comes to the kids, I know a lot of people may have kids that live with them, grandkids, or maybe they're visiting. A lot of times you'll see the kids in these fun little floaties. Guess what, folks? These are not flotation devices because they can pop. The kids can take them off. You want them in a U.S. Coast Guard approved life vest. And this vest needs to fit on them snugly because you don't want their head to be able to dip down in there because they can still drown then.
Right.
So it needs to fit on them very snug. And then you need to make sure that they can't undo these latches. We had a 4-year-old last year drown in another city because the parents thought he was okay wearing the life vest, went off to get into the spa, but he took the vest off and didn't know how to swim.
Oh, wow.
So unfortunately, that had a tragic outcome. And all of this is very preventable. There's different barriers we can use to make sure that those kids do not get into the water.
And here's a couple here we want to talk about. Although we may not use these much in this community, talk about these different alarms that go on pools and spas.
Definitely. This is a spa alarm. A lot of people do have spas, whether they're above ground or even in the ground. They usually have covers on them. So you can stick this alarm on there, and if for any movement that happens on that spa cover, it will definitely sound off, and it's very loud. Another barrier you can use is on your gates. Any type of gate that you have that leads out to the pool, you can put this on there, so that way if there's any type of movement, the alarm will sound as well. They also have them for your indoor, your slider doors or for your windows.
That's a good idea, yeah.
So you have this one, you could have one on the door, you can have a fence around it. All the barriers help protect that child from the water.
Yeah, and obviously these are probably not very expensive at all and self-installed. Really a great idea, but as you said, for any kind of a barrier,
Definitely.
it's really is good to have, and you know,
And just
smart.
so the adults know, they need to look around their home, look around their backyard, and look where the risks are. If you have a pond, a waterfall, children can drown in that as well. If you have a bucket of water, anything that's 2 inches of water or more, a child can drown in that. The younger they are, the more top-heavy they are. So if they tip over, let's say to the toilet, they can't get back out. So we need to make sure we know where our kids are at all times. And if they do go up missing, you want to make sure that you check that water first.
Yeah.
They're so curious, they want to see what's inside that water, and that's where you need to look first.
Yeah, exactly. Well, good advice. And yeah, I know where, you know, when you talk about these little floaties, whatever you want to call them, up where I live, water wings, they're not allowed. Even if the kid knows how to swim and they just want to have these on their arms to have fun with, they're not allowed just for that reason up in our pools.
Good, because it's a false sense of security.
Yeah,
the parents will think that their kids are okay because they have some type of device on them that will float, but unfortunately they can break and they can come off, and then that poor child is left in that water alone.
Yeah,
swim lessons are also really important too. We want to make sure those kids know how to swim, and even some adults may not know how to swim. They need to muster that courage up and maybe take some classes themselves so that they know how to swim.
Yeah, and they're all different levels of swim classes in South Orange County, so you can find them pretty easily.
So the question is, what is your risk? Is it your grandkids that are over for the afternoon or for the evening? Is it swimming with a buddy? So everybody, the question is, what is your risk? Is it at the beach? Somebody's having too much alcohol and they go swimming in the ocean. There's a risk for everybody, and so you have to ask yourself, what is my risk today?
Yeah, and that's a good point. I've mentioned this before. We have a big fence around, we have an in-ground spa, and behind it there's a little bit of landscaping. And sometimes I'm out there by myself and I'm trimming the landscaping. And if I fell and hit my head on the coping, the brick coping, nobody would know. I mean, it's only 2 feet of water.
It could happen.
But if I were to pass out for some reason and go into the water, a simple little head injury could be
Definitely.
life-threatening. So you have to think, and I've thought about that. I'm out with myself there. I don't keep my phone with me when I'm around the pool because I think, okay, if I just kind of fall in, I don't want to ruin my phone, but I could be incapacitated and that would be the end. So, all right, we want to talk about a couple different things here. One of them, since we're talking about kids, let's talk about what happened in Ladera Ranch with a 10-year-old girl. She comes home or maybe she was home, kind of explain this to me, and there was a garage fire. And I think we have some photos on this as well.
So it was parent-teacher conferences. So she was home early from school.
Okay.
And she was sitting there playing Xbox. Katie, a sweet little 10-year-old girl. And all of a sudden she heard a loud boom and an explosion in her garage.
Oh, wow.
And then she stopped playing for a second, and then she started smelling smoke, and then smoke started coming in through the door. Just little wisps of smoke in the garage. And you can see here, this is a 1951 Chevy. What kind of car is this? Tudor. So it's a popular car back then.
Yeah.
And so, but unfortunately, the fire got well established in the garage, and then it destroyed the car. It did lap up upstairs, and but Katie was so calm. The first thing she did was grab her cell phone and call 911 right away, and she was able to tell her address, that she was okay, what was happening, and so the dispatcher said, "Okay, honey, go outside, get outside," and the dispatcher, the Orange County Sheriff's dispatcher, stayed on the phone with her for about 20 minutes, even though our firefighters were already on scene fighting the fire. This dispatcher kept her real calm. And normally in a fire, Orange County Sheriffs would transfer the call to the Orange County Fire Dispatcher, but she just wanted to stay with Katie the whole time, and but Katie was so articulate, she was so calm, and it was a scary situation.
Sure.
And then when she went outside, she was worried about her cats, and she goes, "My cats are inside, should I go get my cats?" And the dispatcher said, "No, your cats will be okay, they'll find their way out, do not go back inside." So the dispatcher really helped, and the thing is Katie kept calm. Nowadays, people always think when you call 911, your address is going to pop up, but when you call from a cell phone, it does not. So the lesson here is for everybody to know their address, or if you're at somebody else's house, or you're babysitter, your grandkids are babysitting somewhere, they should always ask the parents, "Can you put the address by the phone?" That way, if there was an emergency, they could pick up their cell phone like all little girls have, and then they could look at the address, and then when they call 911, they could say, "Okay, I'm at 1234 Main Street."
Yeah. What was the cause of this fire? Was it the old car? Or?
No, it was electrical inside the garage, and the fire investigators, there was so much damage in this garage, so they knew there was some stuff plugged in over here, and it was some sort of electrical malfunction.
Okay.
That's why we always recommend never overload a plug. Use the surge protectors that have a circuit breaker, so if something does trip and there's a fault there, it'll trip and it'll stop the electricity.
Yeah, definitely. And we're going to go to another one, then we're going to talk about, this one was up in, was it Yorba Linda?
Yes.
The other photo, and this is when somebody lost their life on this one, and that's the next photo here.
Right, so...
And this, you look at the house, even you can tell, beautiful home. This was after the fire. It looks in full tact.
Right.
And tell me about this one here.
Yeah, heavy damage inside. So there was a 90-year-old female that was upstairs in that bedroom, and her son was downstairs on the driveway talking to a neighbor. And so right here, standing on the driveway, and all of a sudden they noticed like wisps of smoke, and the neighbor even said, "Do you have a mister inside?" And he turned around and realized the house was on fire. And this is all happening within a short amount of time. Wow. And then by the time he ran from just his driveway to the front door, he opened the front door, there was already thick smoke developing. The fire started in a downstairs bedroom office, and he tried to go up the stairs because his mom was yelling upstairs for help.
Yeah.
He made it halfway up the stairs, and he got pushed back by the heavy smoke and heat, because our lungs cannot take hot gases and smoke.
Right.
So he got pushed back down, and then he grabbed the garden hose. There's this little green garden hose. It's hard to tell in here. He tried to put it out, but the fire just got bigger and bigger. 2 Orange County Sheriff's deputies on routine patrol heard the call go out, raced over there. They got there first. They tried to go in the front door too, and they got pushed back by the smoke. Then they ran around to the back of the house. They went in about 3 feet, and again, the smoke was just choking them out. So they had to back out. One deputy did jump on the roof, but there was nothing he could do.
And what was the cause of this one?
The cause was electrical again.
So again, too many plugs.
Right, so it was in the office, and it was typical electrical items. Computer, modem, paper shredder. There were a number of things plugged in, and unfortunately there was some sort of electrical malfunction, and it started. But the lesson here is when these homes were built, the code was only to have 1 smoke alarm per floor. And unfortunately, the smoke alarms did not activate in this home. So if they would have, it might have given her those few seconds, because the neighbors, and there was the neighbor and then her son were right outside. They would have heard the smoke alarm. And then the other neighbors, it was so sad because this was a big Greek family and they're devastated. So the 2 sons live here to take care of the mom. And the mom she still would cook for them once in a while. Just a sweet lady. But the smoke alarms would have alerted him sooner, and he would have been able to run in and get her down. It provides those few crucial extra seconds to get out alive in a fire.
And they didn't update the batteries or whatever it was.
Right, so either they're old. This home was built in 1988, 87, 88, and they were the original smoke alarms. And a lot of times after 10 years,
Yes, they need to be replaced.
Even the
unit.
wired
Yep,
ones, because
10 years.
we have upstairs. I have a wired one that was there when we bought the house. Right next to it is a battery one, and then I have one downstairs in a central location. I have one in the garage.
That's perfect.
So the one upstairs is right really at the top of the stairs. But I have both because
Which is great. If
you
the
know,
power goes out, you have that battery backup
Yeah.
one. But they're so critical to have. Every 10 years, they do need to be replaced. They have a 10-year lifespan, period. And a
Okay.
lot of people don't know that. So if they can go and see, usually you can write the date on them when you install them, then you'll know after 10 years, I need new ones.
And the wired ones are just as easy to, it's low voltage.
right.
and, you know,
Plus,
you can go
when
and
this
do
home
that.
was built, like I said, the code was just 1 per floor.
Yeah.
Now it's every bedroom. So
Wow.
if you have a home that's, and this is not that old, this was built in the late 80s, we highly recommend you put a smoke alarm in every bedroom. That is the law now.
And in the hallways, too.
And
Yeah.
It's just that extra layer of protection that you need, and it will give you those precious moments to get out alive.
Yeah, and now we have available to us that you brought on one day, the lithium ones.
Yes.
They are a self-contained unit. They last 10 years. You don't have to change the battery. Write the date on them like I did in the one in the garage. I actually wrote the end date on it, which is 2020 for the year, and then you'll know. Let's talk about something else that
Okay.
people might not think that you guys do on occasion, about the cat rescue. I think we have
Okay.
the video on that.
Right.
And so we'll bring that up. And tell me about this.
Well,
how
this
came
is a
about.
great story. This was actually the day after the earthquake, the 5.1 earthquake. And this is their cat, this nice family. Doris and Robert moved into Irvine in 1971. And when they moved in, there was just a 5-foot fence put behind their pool. That was the code back then, just it had to be 5 feet.
Yeah.
When 1978, when Yale Avenue was put through, the city put in a 10-foot block wall, a sound
Like a
wall.
sound wall, okay.
So there was just a 4 to 6 inch gap between the 2 walls.
Oh,
And
interesting.
so their beloved cat Bailey was missing. So that morning about 10 o'clock, they didn't know, they couldn't find Bailey. Well, Bailey was up on this top wall, just above
Yeah.
these firefighters, and she fell down and she was stuck there
what's the cat's
for
name?
a long time. She wasn't rescued till 2:45, so
Okay.
over 4 hours.
About 4
But
hours.
the same
how did you know
urban
that
search
she
and rescue
Bailey?
firefighters that would be sent
did
to an
you- how did you
earthquake or a
know
collapse
Bailey was in
were
there?
sent here. The Heavy Rescue 6 out of Irvine, highly specialized and trained firefighters. They brought Heavy Rescue 6. It's the only one in Orange County Fire. It has all the tools. And this is Doris right here, sweet, sweet lady. And I mean, she loves Bailey like a son.
And in
she
this
said.
video, we don't have the sound up, but you were talking to her.
Right. So, and she was explaining what happened. So Bailey fell down, and so our urban search and rescue firefighters had to use special saws and tools to cut into the block wall, and to then reach in and take Bailey out. And you know, Bailey, right, this is
Yeah,
they had
I
to
can see that.
cut this, and Bailey, they said, was a very well-fed, healthy cat.
Yeah,
Fat cat.
yeah, fat
So,
cat, yeah.
And so
Plus you had all the foliage here, and the
right.
vines and all.
And so unfortunately, but they were devastated, and they were so thankful for our firefighters to rescue Bailey. And Bailey was okay. And let me add one thing. The Irvine Police Animal Services, they were out there too. They were able to reach in with a pole and a syringe and sedate the cat.
Oh,
because
great.
the cat was meowing and
Sure.
it was scared and it was stuck. So once the cat was calm, then our firefighters cut out a big enough hole to be able to pull Bailey
Yeah,
out.
well, very good. I didn't know they did that. All right, we just got a minute left to the show here, so I want to thank you guys for coming on. And you want more information, you can go to the Orange County Fire Authority website. Ready, Set, Go is another one, Ready, Set, Go OC. And if you want, you can set up the types of alerts on Twitter, OCFA. Just go to that, and you put on the tweets there, among other people.
OCFA _ PIO.
Okay, that's right, and he's the PIO. So I have those, so you can check out alerts. And thank you both for coming on.
Thank you,
Thanks
Ken.
for having me.
And